Welcome to the Buddy and Shane Show. Brought to you by AIA Australia, a life, health and wellbeing insurer with a commitment to help Australians lead healthier, longer, better lives.
Hello and welcome to the Buddy and Shane Show. This is the fitness edition because Buddy's got his tank top on and I'm ready
Muscles
for
out.
a bit of a run. Let's get fit. Let's get ready. We're recording this on the Gold Coast, the beautiful Gold Coast, the number one show, not only around the country, but in Queensland. I'm making that up as we go. How are you, bud? Looking good?
I'm really well, Shane.
Are you ready for a run after this?
I'm running after this, so
Yes. How is your running?
it's been pretty good.
Yeah.
Loving it. Absolutely loving it. It's been great.
I know what you're like, and I know the way that you can run. I imagine you just hammering along because you just glide, which I take
need
about
to be
10 strides to your one, but you just glide as we go.
I need to be smarter. I'm not 21 anymore, so I've got to be smart. But enjoying it. It's been fun.
Very good. Hey, we want to do a shout out to Ange Postecoglou. I know he tunes in. He loves the podcast, loves his footy. What are you laughing at?
Does he?
Tottenham winning. It's a huge effort to win any trophy. But, you know, he's been knocked around. And I'm giving him a shout out because AIA are proudly supporters of Tottenham and they obviously support our show here. But I was lucky enough to spend a bit of time with Tottenham when they've come out to Australia. They went to Perth. I spent a few days there and also they went to Melbourne a few years later. And I was amazed at what had actually happened because Ange had just taken over looking after them and in Perth had all the players with him trying to sort of familiarise himself. But I was lucky enough to sneak into a meeting. And what actually happens with the whole list, you've got about 5 or 6 players who don't speak English.
Yeah.
So they've got full-time interpreters with them. And that's their full-time job to make sure the messages are getting through even in these team meetings, especially when an Aussie's telling you, push up, pressure, push wide, don't stuff around. So then you have on the side, so all the non-English speaking players would sit on the side of the meeting in an auditorium, and then interpreters would be whispering into their ear and relaying the messages coming from Ange Postecoglou. And I just thought, wow, you talk about coaching a footy side, but then on top of that, you got to coach a team and players who actually don't understand what's coming out of your mouth.
If you're getting sprayed by the coach, you don't know what's happening. It'd be actually pretty good.
But do you know who cops it the most? It's the interpreter. So they're the ones that are fearful for their job, actually not getting the message through. So the understanding's there, which I just found, I just had a whole new respect from a coaching point of view, especially over there. So well done, Ange Postecoglou and Tottenham. Congratulations. Hey, AFL, huge weekend.
Get on to the good sport, hey?
Yes.
AFL.
The number one sport around the world.
Absolutely.
Maybe in Australia. No doubt you would have watched a bit on the weekend.
I
You
did.
did tell me, a couple of things you did tell me. You said the Giants will win, Toby Green's 250th, and they'll get the job done, and he'll play well. And you couldn't believe, you're like, why are Carlton red-hot favourites in this?
Yeah.
And it's so right, because milestone matches, a lot of people say milestone matches, it doesn't really matter, but it matters, doesn't it? There's teams on the rebound and there's milestone matches, they matter.
No doubt. I think obviously him being the captain of the footy club, he's been their number one player since they started at that club. So he's been huge, Toby. And I always thought game 250th, they were going to go down to Melbourne and get the win, and they certainly did. They turned it on. He had a terrific game, Toby.
He was on fire.
He was
early.
on fire. But I think he had 13 or 14 score involvements, kicked a couple goals, set up a bit, and led from the front. And Carlton to go into that game favourites was incredible. Really, I don't see how that could happen. But yeah, GWS came out there. They wanted it, and they got the win.
It was a 28-point victory. Your man Jesse Hogan, kick 4.
What's that now? I think that's 30 goals, 6.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Did you ever kick like that?
No, absolutely not. But no, how good is he? Once he's
making the most
where he
of it.
leads to his good spots. He makes sure his shots are gettable. He's always within 0 to 30. He's got great routine and he makes you hurt. As soon as he gets that mark inside 50, you know it's going through the goals.
Whereas the other end, Curnow 3-3, and to win by 28 points and kick away, it's a great effort. But where to for the Blues? Like,
Disappointing.
Extremely disappointing. For me, their skill level's just not there, especially when the pressure goes on. It's very alarming.
Well, I think the last couple of weeks they've probably had more inside 50s than the opposition. So something's breaking down there. Obviously, their contested ball stuff's pretty good. There's no doubt about that. But they're getting it in there. They're just not being able to capitalise on how many inside 50s they're having. So they'll be disappointed with that. But I think there's going to be some big question marks going on this week with how they're looking. Like
they can't make the finals. You said that last week, but
no way.
They're done and dusted. So what do you do if you're Michael Voss? Do you bring in some younger players and just give them that exposure and you just cop some losses? Or now that he's probably fearful for his job, because we know footy clubs can turn on you pretty quickly, even though they say, oh, no, we're all heading in the right direction and the board fully supports him. Yeah. We know that's not the case. And then do you get to the end of the year trade-wise and do you move a couple of the key pillars for them? Because something has to happen.
Well, it's going to be a big decision for the board and the people at the club. Is Vossi the man for the job to take the club forward, or do they look at trading out a few players and going to the draft? That's the decision they'll probably make at the end of the year, or do they make the decision on Voss?
Which players do you go to? Do you go like a Curto Mackay, Wiedering down back? Do you go a Cripps?
I will say Wiedering's playing sore.
Yes.
He's not the player he was the last couple of years. Like looking at him, he looks to be a little bit off at the moment, which isn't good to see. When he's at his best, he absolutely dominates in the air. He just looked a little bit jumpy on the weekend, which is unlike him, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's carrying an injury of some type. And Dr. Franklin says
there you go. Dr. Franklin's been very good, actually. I think you got a new career. Go to TAFE, get your certificate, and I'll definitely come and I'll bring my kids to go and see Buddy. He'll have a look at that for you and check you out. I reckon with Wiedering, he's been an amazing player for them, but as soon as the ball hits the ground, if he's got the right matchup from an opposition point of view, who's very evasive on the ground, I reckon, look out. And I reckon a lot of teams are going to work there. Geelong, Jeremy Cameron, Dangerfield out. He's just on fire. What did he kick? 6. Shannon Neal was in good form as well. That was a great game, the Bulldogs and the Cats.
Lived up to it, really, didn't it? We said that was going to be a cracking game. It was awesome to watch. I think Cameron... Bulldogs had opportunities to win that game. Obviously didn't kick straight. They had a lot of shots at goal. I think if they had a kick straight, it would have been a different story. But Geelong took the opportunities. I think Jezza, he kicked 6 straight, probably set up another 3 or 4. Sort of everything he touches turns to goal for them. He knows where to kick the ball. He puts the ball out in front of the players running back to goal, and they end up kicking goals on the back of him. So he was special. It was a huge win for Geelong, I think. Considering how well Bulldogs actually played.
They did play well, didn't they? They're playing well, the Bulldogs, even though their win-loss record's starting to even out a bit. They're still playing great team football. Obviously, Libba through the middle.
I will say
you got Kennedy. Kennedy's kicking goals from the midfield. He's obviously come for nothing from the Blues because the Blues couldn't find a way to keep him in.
And keep Bont on the ground. I'm sick of them resting him forward and taking him to the bench. Every time he's on the ground, they are just on top of the game. So as soon as he goes to the bench or rests forward, then the opposition get back on top. So keep him on the ground as much as possible, please, Devo.
And I reckon those type of players, you can just say, listen, push forward, but don't play as a centre-half forward if you need a bit of a rest. Go and play forward pocket.
Yeah. Just
cool your jets because you know that something's always going to happen. Richard and Bont were good again.
Basilenka was incredible.
Yeah, what do you have? 33. Lots of tackles. Had an impact early.
He's pretty incredible, wasn't he? I think
he's probably leading the Brownlow.
I reckon he would be. But to come up against your old team and to do that, all the pressure leading up to the game was all about him.
Yep.
And then for him to go out there and deliver was pretty impressive. Nothing seems to faze him, and it's been great to watch.
The Bombers, 23-point victory over Richmond. Dream time at the G. I reckon the Tigers are going okay. When you look at who was out, have a look at this. Nankervis, Bolter, Lynch and Short, they were all out. So I thought the Tigers tried extremely hard. They were so young. They were highly competitive. Essendon had to win on the rebound after getting smacked the week before. Nick Martin was good. But the young fella, Angus Clark, from country South Australia, I loved it. It was a great story. He moves well, gets to the right spots, used his body really well, kicked 3 goals. So well done, young man. And it was great to see his family in the. That's what I love about footy is you're watching how
They're all
proud
up
the
and about,
family
weren't
are.
they?
As soon as he takes a mark and he goes back to have a shot, you see his mum there with hands over the face going, oh, please kick this. And just the joy footy can bring not only to yourself but to the rest of your family and your community, especially being a little country town. I loved it. That's what footy's all about.
No doubt. And I think with Nick Martin, he's a very underrated player. 35 touches, 2 goals. He just goes about his business nicely, and I think he's having another pretty good year. And a great win by Essendon. And like you said, I think Tigers are building. There's no doubt about that. They had some good players out of the team, but you can see that they're on the right path, that's for sure.
The Brisbane Lions, 33-point victory over your premiership favourite, Hawthorn.
I might change that after the weekend.
Yeah, Chris Fagan's 200th. Well, the Lions midfield just went to work. It was a different midfield that we saw from Melbourne the week before to Hawthorn. You could just see the intensity and the effort, even when they didn't have the footy. You know, Will Ashcroft, Lockie Neal. There was just a lot of hard work when they didn't have the footy, and that was the difference. And it was just a classy effort. It
was always going to be a tough game for Hawks, I think. Obviously, Brisbane coming off the loss last week to the D's, and then Fagan's 200th. You always knew they were going to lift, and they did. They brought their A game. He's
a good man, Chris Fagan, because he was at Hawthorn for 5 years with you.
Yeah, 8.
8. Well, there you go.
Yeah, he was there for a while. But
2 times 4, maybe. Yeah.
No, I think they're coached well. The players play for him. I think it was
he's a good man, Chris Fagan. Like, I had nothing but love for him, but I never saw him being an AFL coach. But then now he's a premiership coach, and he's doing a great job.
He's a pretty good coach, isn't he?
Yep.
He's a pretty good coach. But no, they were always going to bounce back, weren't they? So they went down to the MCG. I think it was their first game maybe there since the grand final. They play the ground really well and really put Hawks to the sword, didn't they? They just absolutely demolished them. And there's a bit of work to do for Hawthorn now, I think.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's go.
I had them as a premiership favourite last
well, actually,
week.
had Collingwood the week before. Now
well, yeah, things have changed.
That's what footy's
after
like.
Watching that on the weekend, I think, Collingwood, Brisbane, they're sort of the benchmark, but I think Brisbane are another one level probably better than them at the moment, and they showed it, didn't they?
So the Hawks, for me, I thought, well, James Sicily's still a bit of a worry. So I think, okay, one way to fix James Sicily and like the position, playing down back, you make one mistake, you look like a fool. So it's a very hard position to play. And I think just put him forward. I think for the next month, say we need you as a forward. They've got enough defensive players down back that they can go to. And I think just put him forward, leave him forward for the next month and see what can happen there. And I reckon what Brisbane did really well, they identified the players from Hawthorn that they were okay with them getting the ball and trying to make the harder decisions with a kick. Yep. And that's where they were able to get the ball back off them. Whereas normally, when you get the hands or the ball in the hands of the right players, they use it so well. But I don't know, it was like, I think if you go back and dissect that game, I think you can carefully see which players they allowed a bit more space and to make those decisions moving forward, which didn't work out for the Hawks because their skill level was at an all-time low. And also, I'm going to give them a little out. I'm not going to judge them harshly until Friday night when they play Collingwood because they've come off the back of the Darwin match against Gold Coast.
Generally lose after that.
Well, although the Bulldogs smashed Essendon, so they sort of throw that theory out. But I just got a feeling they just looked like the edge was off them a touch. So I'm going to give them an extra week.
Okay.
So whatever they produce against Collingwood, I think that's going to be a true indication of where the Hawks are at.
Yeah, I think going back to that Sicily, I definitely think you're right with that. I think they brought Barras into the team, so to cover that a little bit, that back line. But with Sicily, I think moving him forward's a smart thing to do. Then he can just go out there and not sort of worry about an opponent, but he can sort of go out there and just have fun and get back to leading at the ball carrier, marking. He's a beautiful set shot. Just go back out there and have fun, lead from the front, keep things very simple. I think as a defender, worrying about an opponent can do your head in a little bit. So I think him going forward, just get back to going out there and enjoying it, leading from the front. Being up forward is a hard job, but I think with him, I think that'll suit him for the next month or so. Just put him forward.
And their midfield's got to get to work because, they've got a good ruckman, and for some reason, maybe they don't have the players that everyone, that we think are capable of getting them to the very end. But they have shown that they can be capable at times. So they've just got to get back to work. Sam Mitchell, one of the all-time great midfielders. So I'm sure that'll be the real focus this week. Collingwood, 8 goals in the last quarter. 8-goal victory against North Melbourne. And it was 8-1 in the last quarter. And Collingwood were without Moore, Pendlebury, Sidebottom, Hill, DeGoey, McStay, and Schultz.
And Maynard went off in the first quarter with a sore foot. So I think it just shows you how much depth they've got. That's pretty incredible to have all those players out. I know it was against North Melbourne.
Who have been playing well.
Who have been playing
and
well.
Did play quite well for 3 quarters.
They started well, North, but Collingwood, they're absolutely humming, aren't they, really? And the little man, Dacos, 17 touches in the last quarter. Like, you just cannot stay off him, really. You've got to be on him the whole time because he'll make you pay. And that was a big reason why they got that 8 goals in the last quarter, was on the back of players like that getting off the chain. And he had another maybe 3 votes for the big Nicholas Dacos.
And North Melbourne, well, they're going to have a break now. They probably need a break, but it's great that they're in matches. You want to be in matches to halftime. You want to be in matches to 3-quarter time, but you don't want to have 8 goals kicked on you in the last quarter. So a bit of work to be done. Adelaide, they smashed the Eagles. We thought they would by 66 points. Dawson, another best on ground effort. I think he had kicked 3. No, he kicked 2 and he had 27. Rochelle kicked 5, so that's a great confidence booster for him. Waterman was pretty good. But, Adelaide, they're not a bad team. They did push Collingwood a few weeks ago. So are they top 4?
Well, I think.
Are they top 8? Are they finals contenders? I think they are.
Well, I'm not going to go out on a limb and say they're going to be premiership favourites, but I think they'll be. Do
you think they can make top 4?
Oh, maybe top 6. I think Adelaide, but they did what they had to do. Eagles were in that game up until half time. They had their opportunities too, and then Adelaide just too good. I think Dawson's having a terrific season. He just continues to play well, lead from the front. I think Waterman hurt his shoulder, so he could be out. That's a big loss for Eagles going forward. But, Adelaide did what they had to do, which is awesome to see for them. And massive game this week against Sydney at the SCG. If they can win that, maybe they could cement a top 4 spot.
Well, they're going to beat Sydney, aren't they?
You never know, mate. You never know.
What do you mean? Have we spoken about Sydney yet?
I don't think we have.
I don't think we have. Jeez, because I'll tell you what, you can rip in. We're going to talk about them right now. Melbourne smashed the Swans, 53 points. Cozzy Pickett kicked 5.
Yep.
What's he worth? Because we know there's a lot of talk about Fremantle have been into Cozzy Pickett. So, and Melbourne are saying, nah, he's not going anywhere. And you can't, Jackson for Cozzy Pickett. Melbourne needs Cozzy Pickett, don't they? Especially when he pushes up through the middle.
I think when he plays like that.
What's he worth on the open market?
Well, they want, if they let him go, 3 first-round picks.
3?
And I'm like, you're not Jeremy Cameron. And you are a small forward. But, what he did yesterday, obviously Sydney weren't at their best and played terribly, but I think what he did yesterday was very similar to what a Siriola did at his best. So it's very similar. He just does things that no one else can do, really.
Yep.
Pretty incredible. He just can kick goals out of his, and just
backside,
and turn a game, and that's what he did. He should have probably ended up with 8 or 9. Yeah, and then he tried to kick a taunt from 50 out. But yeah, he was just in crazy form, and it was awesome to watch.
Do you know those small forwards like that? So he can pinch hit through the middle, and it's a bit like Bolton from Fremantle, who has changed Fremantle because he's gone in there with Jackson, and it just gives them a hit, that they desperately need. So they're amazing players because they change the energy around the midfield. They change the energy in the forward line when they're charging. They tackle really well. And imagine if Fremantle get him as well, and they've got Bolton and they're swapping them through the middle.
The only way you're doing that, I think, is Pickett for Tracy, because Melbourne need a forward.
You reckon they're going to give up Tracy?
Well, yeah, but that's what you'd be asking for. You'd be asking for that and maybe 2 first-round picks.
Do you know what? That's not a bad suggestion.
That's what I think. That's what you'd be probably looking at. But, there's no way that Melbourne are letting him go. He's too good a player. And, look, he's only 22 or 23 years of age, so what he's doing already at such a young age is pretty impressive. But there's no way you're letting a guy go like that.
You know what I love about Melbourne? Gorm, Petrarca, Oliver, they're all in great form. They're showing the passion for the club. They're having a crack. They were highly criticised all pre-season, but then even early into the season when it wasn't going their way, it was like everyone was coming and chopping their heads off. But they've showed the key word in AFL at the moment is grit. Yep. That's what they're showing. The Melbourne Football Club is showing great grit, especially from their leaders. And that's something that the Swans don't have at the moment. I feel like they're lacking maybe some leadership, but they're lacking in a few areas at the moment.
I think led by Simon Goodwin. I don't think we can underestimate what he's done and turn it around. Like, he's been under the pump for the last couple of years, and I think he sort of stuck fat with his players. Him and Gorney have worked together, and obviously there would have been some long meetings at that club the last few years to get this club back in a position.
A lot of soul searching.
A
bit like in my day when we started with Buddy Franklin, we said, what are we going to do with this kid?
No, but come on, mate. It's not about me, Shane. But I think it's impressive to see, and I think they've turned their season around. They're looking like they're going to hopefully be in the top 8 for D supporters, and from where they were early in the year to where they are now, something's switched. And it's impressive, and I think it's been led by, obviously, the coach, Gorney, and their leaders. They've all bought into, okay, this is what we need to do. This is what's working. Let's stick to it. It's not about Oliver getting 35 touches, Petrarca getting 35 touches. It's just about every individual doing what they need to do. And
they're doing it.
And they're doing it well, so well done, D's.
And Dr. Franklin, we need to fix the Swans.
Dr. Franklin, we need Mr. Damien Raper to step up in the physio department at the club and get some.
Are you blaming the physio?
And get some players back? But no, it's we can't blame. I think I watched the press conference with Coxie after the game, and he said that we can't talk about the injured players anymore. This is about the guys that are out there delivering, and unfortunately, they haven't been able to do it this year. And on the weekend was another bad loss, nearly 60-point loss. To D's, it's just not on. We can cop them
losing, but not losing like that.
And it should have been more. If you watched the game, Crawl, which I know you did, they should have been probably 10 goals down at halftime. They had, in the second quarter, the Demons had that many opportunities they just couldn't kick straight. Sort of kept Swans in the game a little bit. If they had to kick those goals, it would have been a 100-point loss, I'm thinking, for sure.
A couple of good scalps. You knocked Brisbane off, premiership. Victory last year, and then you knocked the Swans off. We know they're a bit wounded, but who cares? And they were obviously the runners-up. So 2 big victories. And for the Swans, for me, even their reserves are struggling. So there's a few alarm bells there.
There is, and I think
their leaders are coming towards the end. So there's a few. They're going to have to go on and go shopping again, I think.
I think so.
Pre-season.
I think it's going to be interesting to see what they do at the end of the year, but I think their depth's really been tested this year, and I think it just does show you that their depth isn't as good as we probably once thought. I think if you're looking at, say, what Collingwood's done on the weekend, they had 8 or 9 of their good players out, and they were able to go out there and just absolutely dominate. And then on the flip side with Swans, we've had injuries, but they just haven't been able to deliver. So I'm sure there's a lot of work for Coxie to do there, and I'm sure everyone at the club will be disappointed, but they're going to have to bounce back this week.
Find a way, maybe play some young kids and really find out about them, and just cop some losses and just.
I will say one thing I was a little bit shocked at. Obviously, they're playing a lot of kids at the moment. Obviously, we're talking about that depth, but I'm like, for me, why would you put Taylor Adams as sub? I'm like, you're playing a lot of kids. This guy's played over 200 games, been a great warrior for obviously Collingwood and come across to Sydney. Hasn't been given much opportunity because of injury, but then you start him as sub. They got absolutely smashed in contested ball by Demons, and then you've got a guy that's a contested ball winner, but you're starting him sub. Like things like that, I'm sort of questioning some decisions that I think if they had their time again, they would have changed things and go, you know what, we need a big-bodied man in there. Obviously, they've got Heaney, and that you need to rotate it around a little bit, give other guys opportunities. And I think he should have started. There's no doubt about that. He would have, and I think he came on and ended up having a fair few touches, but too late.
Yep,
too late.
And my side, second side, the Gold Coast Suns, 19-point victory over St Kilda. So they did what they had to do.
So they're playing finals?
No, but St Kilda at Marvel, St Kilda are a different side at Marvel. Ben Long continues his very good form, but this is just a great win for their confidence, just to know that they can go to Melbourne, play a side who plays well on their home deck, and just chalk another win. And if they hadn't have missed that first game, they'd almost be on top of the ladder. So they're top 4 contention right now. They're definite final starters for me. Are they a premiership contender?
Whoa. Is that what you're thinking?
Well, they're playing good, hard, solid, consistent football.
As I said, I'm still sceptical, mate, unfortunately. But, they're doing what they've got to do. They're Gold Coast. They've obviously went down there. Let's be honest, St Kilda have been pretty average this year too.
It's Marvel Stadium, though.
I know, but they lost to West Coast last week, so they're not playing a really strong team. So I think we're going to see a little bit more as the year goes on. They're going to have to travel to the MCG and get it done there. But good on them, Gold Coast. It's great to see. They're my third team.
I've noticed a few people have started doing the ratings over the last couple of days. So we were first.
We're first to it, mate.
To it, and it'd be interesting to see how everyone rates Gold Coast, because I thought they should have been.
Have they had an easy draw though?
But you just got to win.
I
it
think
doesn't
they have.
matter who
And,
you play. You just got to chalk wins, get yourself in a position first half of the season, and then come with a run. We do know their second half of the season.
I need to see more. And I think they need a bit. Once they travel to Melbourne and beat a Collingwood.
Oh, who can do that?
Beat a Collingwood, beat a Geelong.
Jeez,
I want to see that.
All right.
That's what I want to see. A big game.
I'm a believer. Good on you, Gold Coast. Well done. You're listening to the Buddy and Shane show for AIA Australia.
We're Gold Coast, aren't we?
No, you're not. You're just saying it how it is. A life, health and wellbeing insurer with a commitment to help Australians lead healthier, longer, better lives. It's now time for Buddy's Young Star of the Week.
Buddy's Young Star of the Week for the Kia Tasman. Reserve yours now.
I'm sure you've found plenty, because there are plenty out there. Who are you going to go with?
I'm going to go with Murphy Reid from Dockett.
Goal kicker.
What's he kicked? Nearly 15 or 16 goals this year.
Has he really?
Kicked another 4 on the weekend, had 18 disposals. But, he's a first-year player to be doing what he's doing at such a young age, in the wet, kick 4 goals, pretty impressive. So there's no doubt he's got a huge future ahead if he continues on like this. And he reminds me a lot of a young Robbie Gray.
Oh,
very, very, very classy.
Number 9 for Port Adelaide.
Yes, an absolute weapon Robbie was. So
he was a great player.
He's very similar. He's got the similar attributes. So I'm sure if he can continue on like that and have a career like Robbie did, he'll be one of the
I think Robbie's
greats.
favourite player was a young fella from Hawthorn, number 9, back in the day.
Both smooth players.
That's a huge call.
Yeah,
we love that. I love that.
Yeah,
that you've sort of linked Robbie Gray there.
No, I think you watch him; he looks pretty similar to him as a young age.
Wow.
So,
Fremantle. Well, I think the AFL world would love to hear that.
Was he 15 or 16 goals in the first 10 rounds?
Remember that game against Geelong? He had that little patch where it just got them
4 1/4
back in the game. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's good. He's a good little player. So well done, Reedy.
On first, I think he's a Victorian boy, maybe down Sandringham way, but Maybe I've made that up. But
I think you have, mate. Come on.
No, I think he is. What was the most amount of goals you kicked in a quarter? Was it 4?
5. Yeah, 5.
So you've beaten him by 1.
1. You'll get there, Reedy.
But he's only in his first year, so he might
He's doing well.
smash
He's
you.
doing good to see, mate.
There you go. Buddy's young star, thanks to the Kia Tasman, the most Australian Kia ever developed. Built tough, tested hard, and ready for anything, whether you're hauling, towing, or taking the road less travelled. The Tasman is made for the job. The Kia Tasman. Reserve yours now. You'll see Buddy popping up on a few ads soon. I'll tell you what, you wait for them. He was on fire. A couple of talking points, and we'll leave it at that.
Yep.
Actually, one rule change. If you could change one rule in the game of AFL footy, what would that be? If you haven't got any, I know I've thrown this at you right now. Personally, for me, kicking the ball backwards in the back half of the ground should be play on. I would like that to be play on, just because it'll just keep the speed in the game. I know it's hard enough as it is, but I don't like when we can waste time and not sort of move the ball forward. Doesn't make the game very attractive. And I would just like that rule to go out of the games. Kick backwards in the back half of the game, back half of the ground, it's play on at all times.
I'm pretty happy with the rules, Shane. I think the game.
You don't want to change the rules.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty happy with where everything's at. The AFL's doing a great job. So
right, okay, I've got another rule for you then. Well, the pigeons or the seagulls at the MCG on certain nights, they just hover and they wreck the spectacle. So they've got to come up with an idea to get rid of, not get rid of them, but actually entice them somewhere else. So I think we need to come up with I
will say the reviews annoy me.
What do you mean?
Camera reviews and that. I think it should be
like
umpire's call.
Oh, really?
Because I think that slows it up. And if you're watching it on television, it's annoying. Keep going to the camera. Keep just umpire's call. It's either a point or a goal. Move on.
I like it because it builds a bit of anticipation.
You like that.
And I'd like the betting companies to jump all over it, so we can actually have a little wager each way to say which way is it going to go.
Come on, mate.
Was it hitting the post?
No, it's just that's the annoying part when you're watching at home. You're like, too much camera. It's like just umpire's call. It's goal, point, whatever. Move on.
One more rule I'd like to change is ruckman, not centre bounce. Any ball up. If you grab the ball and then you're tackled, it should be caught with a ball. You shouldn't be able to grab the ball out, they tackle you, they go, no, we'll do it again. That's not the role of the ruckman. The ruckman is there to tap it to advantage to the midfielder. So anyway, I don't like changing too many rules, but I think those two will definitely get changed. Tasmania's next coach, there was a lot of talk about Nathan Buckley, which is great because it's getting everyone talking about Tasmania and how exciting that would be. But it'll be a tough job because you look at the Giants, you look at Gold Coast. It takes a long time to build, although this is a real traditional AFL sort of territory. I think, why not Luke Beveridge as well? I know he hasn't signed and everyone's going, the Bulldogs are working towards that and he's working towards that. But this has been dragging on for a long time. So why would you not go and have conversations with Luke Beveridge? You've got John Longmire too, who's fresh out of the game. I love the fact that Bucks has put his hand up and said, look, I want to keep investigating this. Who would you target for the first Tasmanian coach?
I'm hearing John Longmire's pretty fresh at the moment, feeling good. It's been 6-7 months since he's finished up. He's walking around the club looking for something to do, I'm hearing. But he would be my man. I think. Yes. I think Beveridge will get locked away by Bulldogs, maybe Bucks. But I think Horse, he's had the runs on the board. He knows how to run a club. He knows what to do. He's taken Swans to many final series. I think John would be great for that club going forward. He's great at building relationships with everyone. I think he'd be really good. So who knows? It'd be up to John if he wants to do the job. I'm sure that they'll be having conversations with him. There's no doubt about that. But it's whether he's motivated to start up a new club and whether he's got the motivation to do that. It'll be a lot of work. There's no doubt about that. And a fresh new club all 17, 18-year-olds being there. It's going to be a lot of hard work. Whether he's got that in him, who knows? But I'm sure he'd be great for the club if they went down that path.
Well, Damien Hardwick was a bit tired and then stepped away from Richmond, and then 3 months later he's like, I'm rejuvenated.
I'm sure if the money is right, I'm sure.
You reckon it's all about money, do you?
Well, I'm sure that if the money is right for any of those coaches, I'm sure you're going down there and you're looking at it, aren't you, really? And what I think it would be pretty cool to go to a new startup club if you're a coach like John or Bucks, head down there and start up a new club. That'd be pretty incredible.
Be a lot of hard work, but be very rewarding to see a team do well down there. And we've played a lot of footy down in Tasmania.
Snowing.
It does get a bit cold, doesn't it?
It was snowing last week.
You do need a roof.
That's what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
You're dealing with snow.
And you love the cold. You love going down
cold.
to Tasmania.
That's freezing. Remember those old cabins?
So they're not going to entice you to come down as maybe a forward coach?
Unfortunately.
You want to stay up
I'll be staying Gold Coast where it's nice and sunny.
But you had a good record down there.
Yeah, average 5, I think, wasn't it?
At Launceston, yeah, there's a bit of space on that oval.
There is. It's beautiful. Down Launceston's.
That's where you kicked 13.
One of the best grounds in the AFL, Lonnie. I don't even think anyone plays there during the year besides Hawks. I think they just pretty much keep everyone off it, so it's nice and fresh and looks beautiful.
It is. It's a great surface.
Great
deck. Yep. And it's very much a home ground advantage for the Hawks. Well, you've been listening to the Buddy and Shane show for AA Australia, a life, health and wellbeing insurer with a commitment to helping Australians lead a healthier, longer, better lives. We're going to be back.
Did you not want to talk about the player to target?
The who, what?
The number one player who you would go after.
Oh, yeah.
You missed that, mate. Come on.
Okay, we haven't finished the show yet.
Who would you take if you were to start up a club?
Oh, okay. What, you want a list?
No, just one player.
One player to start up a club down in Tasmania.
Down in
okay.
Tassie.
So this is the Buddy and Shane show, Tasmanian number one target.
Yep. Who are you going?
Well, it's obviously someone that's got to have 5 or 6 years left in them.
Yep.
Not someone too old, but someone right
in the sweet spot.
Right in the sweet spot. Well, if you're looking at a day cost, I don't think you're getting day cosses out of Collingwood. No. Have you got someone in mind for this, or not really?
No. Well, I thought
we need to throw someone up.
I was thinking maybe for me, Chad
Wingard.
I'm thinking Warner would be good, or Errol, one of those guys. I think they're 23, 24, around that age. I reckon Chad will be out of contract in 2 years' time. That's when the clubs...
I know what you're doing. You're friends with Chad.
Well, I don't know, mate. I don't know. He signed the 2-year deal, so...
You're back and forth with him a lot.
He's a smart man. I think he would be tremendous. Either one of those two to start up a club, be the face of the club. Both.
So what about with Chad? I thought the drawback was always Western Australia, but so you're thinking he would open to
who knows? Like
going
I said,
in all different directions.
Have that.
Yeah.
To have different things.
Okay.
Available.
What about Errol Goulding? Because he's a superstar.
He's a superstar.
So is he a Sydney boy?
He's a Sydney boy. There's no way he's leaving, but I think.
Okay, but you throw him up.
Yeah, I'm not saying they're leaving, but I'm just saying, would you take them to start with one player? And I think either one of those two would be pretty awesome to start up a club at the Devils.
Okay,
the face of the club, I think
there you go. Because no one's throwing them up because they're thinking that, especially Warner. Everyone's thinking Western Australia, but you've just thrown a big curveball there, and I like it.
That's what we're all about here.
Chad Warner, the number one target to go to the Tasmanian team in a few years' time.
Mr. Longmire, the connection. Who knows?
Oh, now we're talking.
Wow.
Okay. I think you might know something.
No, mate. No.
This is good.
I'm just thinking, John there, Chad, the face of the club.
Wow. That's why he only signed a 2-year deal. Yep. That's why he's turned his nose on Western
Eagles
Australia, Fremantle, West Coast.
Straight to the Devils.
You've just thrown in a hand grenade, something to really think about it. And I love it. Well done. Good stuff. We'll see you next time.